Hi everybody and welcome to another exciting episode of the anime G.B.U, where I take a look at an anime series and I give you the good, the bad, and the ugly. And what series am I talking about today? Well, believe it or not, I'm talking about Escryed. So let's bust out our ultra powers and let's do some reckless fire because it's time to talk about Escryed. So what is the plot of this anime series? Well, believe it or not, an event called the Great Uprising, and yes, I had to double check everything off of Wikipedia here because I remembered the plot of it, but I wanted to get the stuff exactly perfect. The Great Uprising event happens, a geological event that gives a lot of people in this is what I wanted to look up, Kanagawa Prefecture near Tokyo, the ability to create weapons, basically out of everything around them. They become known as alters. Now, there's two different groups of alter users. You have the native alters who live outside of the islands, or outside of the mainland, basically, and holy, the group of alter users that are controlled by the government that are basically your police force. Now, there's two alter users that definitely should be mentioned right off the bat. You have Kazuma the Shell Bullet, a native alter user who honestly is my favorite character of this series. I'm not even gonna lie. Look, he is the kick-ass, quintessential, being of God in this thing. He's cool, he's funny, and he's the main character. You can't love the main character, who else can you love? On top of that, we also have Ryuho, another character I had to look up, because this show's got a lot of characters in it, but they all play a wonderful part. He's basically an alter user as well, but instead of being a native alter user, he is a member of Holy, one of their higher ranking officials too. He has the ability to create a sort of separate self of him that, what was its name? Zetsui, I think? Yeah, I think that's what it was called. Anyway, they end up battling it out multiple times, both Kazuma and Ryuho. The whole plot of the series is basically the mainland wanting to take control of the native alter users and kind of use them for their own selfish desires. Though, honestly, it's idiotic if you think about it. A majority of other things do happen in this, including, but not limited to, a being that apparently is the very embodiment of the alter powers, which if you break off pieces of him like Kazuma did, you gain more powerful abilities. He broke off a part of its spine, which it immediately regenerated, and his shell bullet arm incredibly increased in power. I guess I should explain Kazuma's power. He's not known as the shell bullet for nothing. His entire arm becomes this yellow fist of justice, I want to say. A sort of kick-ass fist, too. It's like, boom. You can tell he's an alter user, too, because he goes like this, extends his arm out. I know you can't see it. Extends his arm out, and then basically you just see it become this fist. Red clawed hand, yellow armor. It's kick-ass. And honestly, I like it. The whole plot, though, revolves around them eventually realizing what the government's doing and basically trying to stop the bad guy, who gained the power of this quote-unquote deity of alter powers, and is using it as his own discretion. White Trick and Black Joker, which uses to mercilessly defeat other alter users. Eventually, Ryuho realizes that the native alter users actually have a place in existence and vows to defend them as well, basically severing his ties from the mainland after, well, the girl he kind of liked and that liked him dies. What was her name? Charisse, I think? Yeah, I think that's what her name was. Hold on. Well, basically, it's a back and forth story. It's really cool. The whole plot of it's basically native alter users are bad, but yet we want to capture them, and we want to capture them to basically turn them into our mindless slaves. It's sort of a give and take, if you will. I like it, mostly for the fact that it's quite entertaining, and if not a bit strange and unusual. While we've had stories that are similar to this, it honestly, it kicks ass, and I like it. Let's see here. So we have our whole little cast of characters. You have Kazuma, the Shell Bullet, Ryuho, you have Kanami, who follows Kazuma around, who he basically protects like an older sibling to a younger sibling. Let's see here. Who else do we got here? Let's see, we got Kazuma's friend, Kimishima. Yeah, he's Very sad. Momori Kiryu, Charisse. Yep, that's who it was. Yep. Yeah, her name was Charisse. That's kind of neat. Martin Zigmar, Stray Cougar, Asuka Tachibana, Elaine, Yuzurin, Kagetsuki, UK, and so many others in this as well. And the living altar creature is known as the Crystal, drawn to the Lost Ground during the Uprising, because it's made of altar. It needs to absorb more altar power to exist. Yep, so that's basically it. But anyway, the series itself is quite good, and has one of the most fantastic endings I think any anime series has ever had. Now, it's 26 episodes long, so it is a decent anime series. I'm not going to lie, not the 13 episodes we've been getting lately per anime season, but it's a solid 26, and it's worth that 26 episodes. You have drama and everything, from Kimishima dying, to Kazuma scraping enough together to provide a life for him and Kanami, so they can survive on a day-to-day basis. Kanami taking jobs every now and then, Kazuma working with Kanami, Kazuma trying to use his powers to help people on the, in the native altar land. He basically became a Robin Hood of the altar users. He steals from Holy, the rich, and helps out the poor native altar users as they try to scrape together a living in the land where no one's allowed to go, the Lost Ground. It's a wonderful series, I'm not even going to lie. I love it to death. It's one of my favorites. I can't even tell you how many times I've had an action figure and I've just been playing with it, yelling out Kazuma's attacks. Shocking first bullet, annihilating second bullet, exterminating final bullet. I love those. Those are his three main techniques, each one costing him one of his fins that usually pops up right about here. When he upgrades it, it becomes much more powerful, but it takes more stamina and more energy, and he kind of loses the ability to see out of his right eye. And his third and final ultimate transformation, he just gets clad out in this golden armor altar form. Completely kick-ass. He looks like a giant lion hybrid thing. Red claws. He's just amazingly cool. Even Ryuho's final form was cool. The series ends with one of the most climactic battles you could ever imagine. Not between good and evil, but literally between two, at this point I want to say friends. Because by now they've pretty much put aside their differences, though they still hate each other, and have decided to work for a common good, though they just don't realize it. What they decide to do is finally settle their battle once and for all to see who's the strongest, Ryuho or Kazuma. Who's going to win? Well, we don't know exactly. The battle goes full on with them using base form altar powers, second form altar powers, and final form altar powers. And it's broadcast not only to the entire island, but most of the world, courtesy of one of our favorite Holy members who decided to retire and grow his watermelons. Yes, that's right. There was a character in this series that literally just wanted to grow watermelons, and I thought that was cool. I mean, sure, it's a little strange and unusual, but still, it was a neat process nonetheless. And it kind of makes me wish that a lot of the characters would have lived to see the end of it. The final one that died in the series was Stray Cougar, who, during the battle of Ryuho and Kazuma, died peacefully in his chair. At least, that's how I gathered it. He had actually had an altar power the entire time, however he faked it so he could get a stronger power and basically be used by Holy, getting him off the island. At least, that's how I remember it. Now, I could be wrong, because, keep in mind, I watched it on Adult Swim, and even though I own the series, in fact, I still think I do own the series. I don't think I sold that one, but I have to double check. I might have. Either way, it's still a good series, and definitely one you should check out. But, like always on this show, let's talk about the good, the bad, and the ugly, shall we? Let's get diving into this. First off, the good. The art and animation are spot on in this. No character feels like they're drawn out or anything. Nothing feels like it's dopey or dim. Everything feels perfect. You can feel the emotion and the raw hatred in this. There's very little to not like about the animation, how they move. They actually move sort of like fluid characters. There's no like really lazy animation style in this, and the art is just beautiful at the same time. Now, I'm not saying that there aren't problems. There are a lot of problems, but still, it's kind of cool. Another thing I kind of like about this series is the fact that you have so many alter users with different powers. Now, yes, I have issues with multiple characters getting different powers. Hold on for a future review when I talk about the Ant arc in Hunter x Hunter. But still, yeah, you know my point. I like series where people can get powers literally that they created on their own, and the alter powers are pretty much that. It's a manifestation of themselves. So I kind of like that because each power is unique to them. No one person can have the same power. So it's really cool. I like it. Now, let's get into the bad. For starters, the plot is all over the goddamn place. At one moment, you're learning about the secrets of the Great Uprising. Then the next, it's a slice of life with Kazuma and Kaname trying to survive day to day. Then we're right back where we started again with the Uprising. Then we're getting some backstory into Ryuho's childhood or Kazuma's childhood. Then we're getting more plot point. It's all over the place and not in much of a consistent way. The series itself does lend itself to a very well-written script, I won't lie, but honestly, it's one of the weakest plot developments I've ever seen. It goes from point A to point D, back to point A, then to point B, then to point C, then back to point D, back then again to point A, all the way to point G, and it hurts your mind trying to keep up with it. It's one of those series that if you come into it a couple episodes in, you're fine, but if you come in about halfway through or even 10 episodes in, you can follow along, but you're going to be lost until they do a recap, which happily they do from time to time, but still, you're going to be lost until that happens. Now, that's just my own interpretation of it again, because, again, I watched it on Adult Swim for the longest time until I bought the DVD. It's not bad, and actually it is good. And I do like the first volume and the second volume of the DVD. And I did have the complete series, but I don't anymore. I just have those two, the first volume and the final volume, because they're about the ones that are the best. Everything in the middle is pretty much just filler as far as I'm concerned. With this type of series, what's bad about it, at least with this one, is the fact that it jumps all over the place too damn much, and I don't understand where I am half the time. While it's fine for other series to do that, this one just feels wrong when they do it. And it bothers me so much that it's done that way. But that's the bad. Now for the ugly. Oh, jeez. I don't like how the alter powers work. Alright, I guess I need to explain that. I like how the alter powers are. I like the fact that what the alter powers are is it's a manifestation, at least how I interpreted it again, is a manifestation of your actual, physical ability, what makes you you. Basically using your mind to create something that'll help you fight, or to help you, period. Some can just heal, others can just use an ability for the heck of it, or in the case of the one character, he can create his Trinity 8 technique, which is 8 balls, that he can form into like a saber by having them all go into a rod form. Weird stuff like that. He can use them to hold people up, paralyze people, light up darknesses, things like that. But the fact that the alter powers basically are created by things around you. I would hate to have an alter power that, or any alter power for that matter, if it's taking a chunk of my environment around me to be used as material. So if I'm surrounded by things that I like, that I scrape together to find, and I had to suddenly fight to defend my home, and I use my alter power, it's liable to destroy most of the things in my home. It could destroy anything, just take a huge chunk out of it, and that's it. There's no return button, there's no undo, it's gone. Entire cities, some rock formations and things like that, you could see them disintegrating to be utilized as the power for the alter form. Well, that's fine, and I do like that for the show. I would just hate to have that, and that's one of the things I don't like about the alter powers. I think it's cool, but at the same time, it makes you think, well, if you're around stuff you really like, you run the risk of losing that. Yeah. Thankfully, it doesn't affect living beings, so that's a good thing. So you can't just accidentally turn your girlfriend, your boyfriend, or parents, or siblings, or friends into basically your fist of justice. That would suck. Especially for the fact that once you use up the altar power, it just vanishes until you summon it back again. So that really is bad. But all in all, the series in itself is actually quite good. So my final verdict for Escryad, definitely check it out. It's well worth your time and effort. This thing is a 26 episode wonderfest, especially if you watch it from start to finish. If you don't want to do that, I recommend checking out the first 5 episodes and the final 5 episodes. At least the final 2 episodes at best. But definitely check out the start and the ending of it. You can henpeck certain ones in the middle if you want to that are basically fillers. But otherwise, if you want to watch this thing from start to finish, it's well worth it. I'm not even going to lie. And that's all I have to say on Escryad. So, until next time, I'm Andrew Rhodes, and this has been the Anime G.B.U.